Capture the passion.
Welcome back to CPTP Season 4, Episode 8. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. James Atteen, and we're going to talk about finding that inner peace. And James is going to share with us his journey into finding that peace. James, tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is James Atteen. Actually, originally, I used to live in Whittier, California, but 2 years ago, I moved to Beaufort, Georgia. And currently, I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because I'm celebrating the baptism of my son. So just came out to celebrate after baptizing.
How's your little retreat going on right now?
Oh, it's great. We are happy to be discovering different places out here in the southeast of the United States. This is very new to us. So yeah.
How was your journey? I know that I was keeping up to date via social media, your journey from California all the way to the other side of the US. What was that like? What was it? Before you tell us about your journey, was it scary just to get up and go?
We we had paid few visits to the Atlanta area, and so the more we kept visiting, the more we liked it. And so once COVID happened, and we started working from home, then I just went ahead and asked my boss if I could work permanently from home. Once I got the okay, it meant that, okay, we could go wherever we wanted. So at that point, we are just like, either we do this now or it's never going to happen, Because a lot of people kind of say, oh, we want to experience living here, we want to experience living there, but they never do it. Pulling that trigger is scary. But it was one of those things where we're just like, you know what, it's now or never, and once we found out we were pregnant, we just like, let's just go right now. Yeah. So we just went ahead and just kind of gave it to God and just went for it, So
and there you are. And
yeah,
being involved in your life, James, I know we've shared a lot of very intimate conversations. How grateful I am having you in my life, that you have helped me so much with my mental health, and making that jump. I remember when you first told me about it, I was on the other end of the phone like, what? What do you mean you're leaving? But it sounded very easy because you have a very supportive wife in Sandra. And making that transition, obviously you had that career opportunity to continue working from home, which I'm sure made things easy, not necessarily easier, but it was a bigger load off your back where you didn't have to move and try to find employment there. You already had something going in there. So tell us, take us through your journey from California. How long did it take you guys to get there?
We planned that trip out because I felt like my brother-in-law Caesar was perfect. Him and Maria and my sister-in-law were perfect companions to join us for that trip. So we planned it out where actually it was we drove from Linwood to El Paso, and that took us 12 hours, and that was just straight. And then once we got to El Paso, we had a place booked, so we spent the night. Then we got up the next day, and then, oh my goodness, Texas is one big state. Like that state, it takes a long time to cross that state. Let's just put it that way. So then afterwards, then we had to drive to Maria's aunt's house, spend the night again, and that was in like Fort Hood or something. Then afterwards, made our way down to the Houston area before continuing to New Orleans. Then once we got to New Orleans, we had to basically spend the night and rush out of there quickly the next day because there was a hurricane coming in.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so once my wife Sandra found out that there was a hurricane coming in, she was uncomfortable the entire time. So she had asked like even the ballet guy at the hotel where we're staying, oh, in terms of a hurricane, what do people like you, locals, do? And he said, okay, well, you're from California, right? And she said, yeah. Well, when an earthquake happens, what do you guys do? You know? And she's like, well, sometimes we sleep through it. And he's like, well, same thing, you know? And so, it was like a kind of like a good answer, but yeah, at the same time, like put you at ease type of an answer, but deep down, she was trembling like early in the morning. Let's make sure we're out of here quickly.
Mhm.
So by 7, 8 in the morning, we had to be out of New Orleans, driving all the way from New Orleans. It took us another 7 hours to get to Atlanta.
Wow.
So all in all, it was a 4-day journey.
Mhm.
But seeing the way this country starts to change, it's
Mhm.
incredible. From how we are on the West Coast, and then afterwards it becomes very deserty. Then you get to New Mexico, and then you just see like all these cactus just coming up. Then even when you're in Texas, El Paso is very dry,
Mhm.
deserty. And then once you get to Houston, it's all humid and trees, you know, that area all the way through the Gulf going.
Uh-huh.
It, I love geography. So
Mhm.
just doing that journey was just incredible to
It was incredible. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Was it a very stressful time? Was it pretty aside from the hurricane, obviously, but they,
me.
as you're going there, you have very strong support system with your wife, your in-laws. How was it for you psychologically? Did you find yourself anxious? Did you find yourself at peace, knowing that, hey, you know what, we're good? We're going to a whole new place, the other side of the country. What was it going like psychologically?
we we spoke a lot because like earlier that year, my wife had lost her mother.
Right.
So, and then on top of that, we had also miscarried
Right.
the same day that she lost her mom. So that was stressful. So afterwards, it was more or less, once we made up our mind that we needed that change,
Mhm.
we had several talks and we just told ourselves that we can't fail. Like
Right.
failure is not an option. Like we're not looking back.
Mhm.
So as scary as scary as it might have been, it was scary because of the fact that we were leaving our comfort zone, you know. Like I was giving up my apartment, which I paid $700 a month, you know, in Whittier,
That's cheap. Yeah,
that's
that's you don't
super
find
cheap.
that.
Exactly. And I gave that up. But at the same time, we had to grow, out of it because it was perfect for us when it was just the two of us. But we were expecting, and that was not that was not going to be the case. So we just kind of looked at where we were financially, uh, what Georgia had to offer us versus what California had to offer us, and and then on top of that, I also had relatives, in the Atlanta area that we were going to stay with a little bit before we branched out on our own. So that made it even more easier
Mhm.
for us to be able to to leave. So
Yeah.
once we left, we lived with my relatives for 7, 8 months, and during that time we had my son. So afterwards, um, we felt like the time was right for Sandra to go back to work. And then once she went back to work, then we plotted our move, and now we're in our own in our own house.
Jen, one of the things that I've always admired you, and go back to the conversation that we would have, how you sound like if you're at peace, You sound like if you're at a good place. But through our conversations, we both know that it took a while to get there. Take us back to times when you were growing up where it was challenging for you. What were some things that made it difficult for you to be at peace with yourself?
Um, I mean, I have a very, I don't know, I would say a very complex, deep past, you know. Um, I would say I didn't grow up seeing my parents married, right?
Mhm,
My my parents, like my dad, went to Spain when he was 15. He had he had his older brother there, and then through a scholarship because he did linguistics, so he speaks fluent Spanish, and so he was sent to Spain at 15. So through that, later on in life, I guess he needed uh, a significant other, and they arranged for him to marry my mother, you know. So she was also sent to Spain
mhm,
to go and live with him. Hence, I came along, but the marriage didn't last that long. You know, within 2 years, uh, I was sent to go and live with my aunt in Ghana, West Africa. And at that time, my mom left my dad and went to New York to try and, I guess, find her footing in the United States.
mhm,
So I would say I didn't see my parents again until I was about 6. So yeah, they left me with my aunt when I was 2.
mhm,
Yeah, my dad also ended up um, moving also to the States of all places later
mhm.
on. So yeah, I didn't see them again until I was about 6. So
Makes sense.
once I was about 6, that's when they came for me. So all that time, I was living with my aunt, thinking that my aunt was my mother,
Right, right.
you know, and my my uncle, her husband, was my dad. The only thing, and at that time I was too young to piece together that my last name was different from my cousins, because
Okay.
because they have 3 kids of their own. So I was too young, and at that time, it was um, I had a cousin that is we are about 2 years apart. So it was just us two before her other brother came along, and then the last born came along. So all that time, I just thought that it was just me and my siblings until
Mhm,
I was kind of yanked out of that group at the age of 6. And then next thing you know, I found myself in New York, of
mhm,
all places. So now I have to adapt to this whole situation again. And actually, I came, it was my mom that came and brought me to New York. But then once I came, I only stayed about 2 or 3 days with her. And then my dad and his wife came in, got me. Next thing you know, I found myself in New Jersey because I needed to live with my dad and his wife because apparently they were the ones that filed for me to come to the United States. So through living with them, I think his wife deep down had a bitterness or whatever it is
mhm.
because at that time she didn't have a child of her own or whatever. So it became a situation where she started beating me, you know. And it happened when the first time it happened was when I lost the keys to the house, and she was called from work to come and pick me up. Once she came, she was so upset. She didn't know what to do with herself, and then just took me home, tied my arms to the dining room table, my legs uh, uh, to the other side of it, and just started
With it.
whipping. Yeah. And so then after that, it just started becoming a continuous thing.
Did you know that she
Ah,
wasn't your mom, James? Were you aware that this isn't my biological mom?
oh, absolutely, absolutely, because she looked nothing like me,
Mm.
you know, like she was much more of a lighter skin.
Mhm.
She was, because I because of the fact that I have lived in Ghana, I speak my local dialect,
Mhm.
and I can speak my local dialect with my mom, but she couldn't because she was of African American descent, like she is from Atlanta, so it was just English. So we didn't relate on that
Oh,
kind of level,
right.
Traditionally, she was not
So
robust.
how many places had you already lived by the time you were this age? Were you're what, 7, 8 now?
Yeah. So my
You were
dad,
born in, where were you born?
Madrid, Spain.
Spain, and
Yeah,
then you went
Accra, Ghana.
to Ghana, and
And then
then
afterwards, I found myself in Brooklyn, New
Brooklyn.
York. And then afterwards, then we moved to New Jersey. Is it around the Newark area in New Jersey?
Uh-huh.
Before then, my dad decided that he didn't like New Jersey anymore. Then off we flew to LA.
So five different places.
Hmm.
Wow. And you're moving around. I mean, I can't imagine just this unstableness into what do I
Yeah,
call home?
yeah, exactly.
And then having
So,
that abusive experience. I mean, it sounds like if it made things even worse. Anything that as an adult you sort of feel that I didn't deserve that.
oh yeah, I mean, I remember before I would kind of say, it's made me stronger, it happened for a reason, made me
Mhm.
stronger. But as I got older, or even as I became a father,
Mm.
it was one of those things was like, nah, like that's just a no-no.
Yeah.
Like there is, and basically for me, I started questioning stuff. I started questioning the very people who were supposed to protect,
Right.
you know, because in terms of my dad, he has never accepted responsibility.
Mhm.
He married that woman, and she was doing that to me. And even there was a time where it was around maybe 10 or 11 p.m., and this was back in Jersey. She had been arguing with my dad. She decided to come into my room, grab me, and threw me out the house
Wow.
and locked the door. So 11 p.m., I'm sitting at the curb. Luckily, the neighbor's kid and I, we had we were friends. We had a bond.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the neighbor noticed that I was sitting on the curb, and when he pulled up, he was like, "What are you doing here? Like, what's going on?" And I said, "Oh, my mother threw me out."
Mhm.
And so he decided to call my dad on the phone, and I guess he was asleep. He didn't.
He wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, he wasn't aware of it.
Wow.
And so then the neighbor had me sleep over, and then the next day he took me back.
Mhm. Wow, and you bring up a good point in saying that sometimes as adults, when we start reflecting into what our childhood was like in those adverse experiences, we sort of find justification for it, where it was like, I kind of deserved it. I was something else, or made me stronger, like you said. But in reality, it does the complete opposite of that. And that's something that where the purpose of this conversation was to help us understand that first and foremost, we didn't deserve that. As kids, we don't
Exactly.
deserve that. You know, we see our parents as this is the people that we trust. This is the home should be the safest place for a child to be in. Now, when you take that away, then it becomes a very big risk because we're not just talking about the short-term effect, but long-term effects. As an adult, James, is there anything that you continue to struggle with from your childhood experiences?
Oh yeah, trust.
Trust.
Trust is
Oh,
huge.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Talk to us,
I
James.
I I don't open up to people a lot.
Mhm,
I I keep people at an arm's length, and I'm what you would call I keep to myself
mhm.
a lot. Like I'm just much more comfortable that way. That's
Safer.
that's the
You're
one thing
safer
that
that way, right? You feel like if, and I can relate to that so much when you
yeah,
said that, it triggered me inside where I'm the same way. The moment that anybody breaks that trust, it's like we're cool here on the surface, but we're not cool inside.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I want to continue to grow and find my peace because I can see how much that it affects me. Like one of the things that really bothers me is punctuality. If you tell me you're going to be like my students, oh, I'm going to request an office appointment with you, be in your office at 3:30, and it's 3:35. In my head, it's like a million thoughts into, well, you said you scheduled the appointment with me. Where are you? Why you make me wait? All of a sudden, I feel this sense of insecurity. I find myself going down a rabbit hole. And then eventually the student comes in and is like, oh, sorry, traffic, couldn't find parking. And then it's like, oh, okay, we're still cool, but we're not cool. What
exactly.
goes through, what do you see yourself going into a rabbit hole, James, or what how do you deal with
All the
that?
time. Um, I have gotten to be able to judge the situation.
Mhm,
So I judge the situation, I guess, individually, right? That's how I would put it. And it depends on what has been done. And that would determine how I proceed from there,
mhm.
you know? And I'm the type of person where I feel like I have been broken to the point that if I lose or if I feel that a person has not been loyal to me or they've broken that trust, they can never earn that back.
Yeah. And it's
That's
not,
the one.
go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it's just the one thing where it's like I'm not willing to go down that rabbit hole again.
And I was going to say that has nothing to do with the individual, but it has everything to do with the way you're responding to it. Um, some of the research that I've been reading a lot about talks about early childhood trauma, and I've been mentioning it throughout this season in the different podcasts that we've had with our guests into how our nervous system responds. Right. So at a very young age, our nervous system is conditioned to respond a certain way. Then as an adult, because our nervous system has been conditioned, it continues to respond that way. So it has nothing to do with you being late because of traffic or you couldn't find parking, but it has everything to do with the way that I'm responding. So the lack of trust is not because I don't trust James, it's because Jorge doesn't trust Jorge,
Yeah,
right? And that's where the struggle begins. So how do you find yourself getting out of that rabbit hole?
it's tough, you know. It it really is. It's tough. It's I would say there've been a lot of relationships like lost over the years,
Yeah.
due to the fact that I was just not willing to break out of it.
You're not budging.
because
You're sticking to
no,
your
I'm not
guns.
at all. Yeah, I'm not. So it, it's tough because even at my age right now, where like I the one thing that I feel like just gets under my skin so much is now I have people that feel that, oh well, you're of age, get over wherever it is that happened to
Mm,
you. You see what I mean? And it's like, no, no, I am not going to get over what happened to me because you don't know what it is that I've been through,
right.
you know? And it's kind of like when someone dies, a lot of people just automatically go into, well, let me know what I can do for you. Let me know what I can do for you. But the thing is, what can you really do for them? Like what they're going through is deeper than what you can really imagine, you know? And so most of the time, for me, it's just more or less like my condolences and that's that. I just let it be because when the time comes, they will be back. They will come back, you know? But right now, it's more or less grappling with a lot of people who feel like they can come in and fix me emotionally. And it's like, well, my question to them now is, well, where were you when I was going through it?
Mm,
Where
yeah.
were you when that was happening to you, you know? So it's a lot of anger, you know? It is just trying to find that.
No, yeah, and I remember going on 3 years now when I lost my dad. I got a text message from you that when I read it, it hit me different. And you said it's okay to be mad at God. And I remember thinking, you're the first person that has validated my anger that I have right now of just losing my dad. And I remember eventually talking to you because to me the way that I dealt with this, I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I wasn't ready. I didn't want to. I pretty much shut down. And again, a lot of it has to do with growing up. The trauma that I had was whenever I had a stressful situation at home, it was just don't say anything. Cállate. Be quiet. Right. So now as an adult, whenever something bad happens, guess what I do? I shut down. That's the way my nervous system responds. So eventually having a conversation with you when you verbalize, articulated your text message, it touched me in a way that was like, man, here's James, who I love dearly, who's telling me that it's okay to be angry. And that was something that has helped me deal with my mental health as well, is to validate my feelings, to understand that, hey, you know what? I'm not just gonna get over it because you don't know what I've been through, is what you're saying. And it's very unfair for anybody to tell you, just get over it, James. You're an adult now. No, because we don't know what you've gone through, right? Do, do you feel that validating your feelings, validating your experiences has helped you overcome your childhood experiences?
Oh, for sure. Like I feel like you need to let it out. For me, I've gotten to that point where what I feel is what I'm let you know
Hmm.
how I feel. And I could care less what the reaction is on the other side because it's not about the other person, you know. But if you feel like you can come in and you can try and fix me, then you need to be ready for what's going to be coming to you in response on the other end,
Right.
you know, because at the end of the day, emotion is emotion. I'm a feeler and I feel what I need to feel. And I've gotten to accept that there is nothing anybody can do about it.
Mhm.
Just like if somebody else was going through their journey, they need to go through it. They have to come on the other side of it. It's literally what it is. And it's okay to be angry. Like, we're living in a world where people it's just like la 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 la, oh, just give me happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts. And sorry, this is not a Disney contest. This is reality.
Right. And
And
that's it's one of the things that I think society refuses to grow in, is to acknowledge all the emotions. And yes, I know that in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, but if there were, then we wouldn't want ourselves or our kids or anyone to deal through those stressors. But the reality is that they're there. And the
mhm,
more that we help validating those stressors, the more we validate our own emotions, I think the better we can become long term, not just short term.
yeah,
So, what what has been some of the steps that you've taken that maybe it was a break from your cultural norms to help you find your inner peace? Did you go to therapy? Did you have group talks? What were some things that you've done?
I think for me, I knew from a young age that my parents sucked. If I could, if I could put it, if I could put it, in that way, like I just knew, because I would go to my friend's home and I'm just like, this is not, there's something wrong with this picture, you know? And so I would say I started noticing from just an early age.
Mhm,
But then I got to that point where, like, even with my dad, I was still trying.
mhm,
I was still trying. It was always like we had this, what I call it, a phone call relationship, where he calls me, "Hi, how are you? How's it going? Oh, great, cool. Okay, I'll talk to you later,"
mhm,
and then that was that. I hadn't seen, like, from the age of maybe 10
mhm.
to about 21, I saw my dad 4 times.
Wow,
Yeah, 4 times.
wow.
And even then, it was because I went to, twice it was me going to the UK to visit my cousins and ended up running into him. You
It
know,
wasn't even planned.
it wasn't even planned, you know.
Mhm.
So just stuff
So,
like that. And so so I got to that point where I knew that this is not how I wanted to be
mhm,
a husband or a parent. I just didn't want to go through that. So there was a day where um, I was at work, and this was back in California because at that time I was working in Tustin. And so usually during my breaks and my lunch, I would just go out for a walk. I would usually go and walk about a mile and a half,
mhm.
and then go back to my desk and then work. Well, I knew that 2 or 3 days later, my mother was supposed to arrive because my mom has retired and moved back to Ghana. But the way she did it was she decided to just sell the house and then just leave me, and then she just took off.
Wow.
Yeah, I had actually flown to Atlanta for my aunt's 60th birthday. And when I came back, she had put a for sale sign on the house. I had no idea. And
Whew.
so then I had aunts and uncles calling her saying that, oh, well, why wouldn't she leave me the house? And I'm her only son. And she said that well, whatever I would do with myself, I should do, and that I'm irresponsible. So she's like one of those people that is like
Wow.
trusting of other people. Like
Mhm.
she went and gave my cousin $45,000 to help him start a business, and then he ended up screwing her over.
No.
Like that's the type of person that she is. Like if you have like a degree or like she feels like you're in good standing, she holds you to a high esteem.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
she's always like kind of shot me down and put like my cousins and stuff like that,
Yeah.
higher than, you know, because she feels I don't amount to much,
Mhm.
So in her eyes, I don't amount to much. And in my dad's eyes, he just doesn't care,
Yeah.
you know. And so I just knew that that's not the type of parent that I wanted to be.
Right.
And so the day where I was going for a walk and I knew that she was coming into town, I don't know what happened, but I was on my walk, and next thing you know, I feel my heart just beat
Racing.
fast. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
and I felt like I was having a heart attack. So then I make myself back to my office and I tell my boss I need to go to the hospital like right now. So I ended up for some reason driving myself, calling my wife on the phone and telling her I'm going to the ER right now. I don't know, I think I'm having a heart attack. So I end up in the ER and then the doctor comes and they put all these like monitors and stuff like that on me. Then they ended up giving me potassium, which ended up calming me down. Then the doctor, um, afterwards, when he felt like I was calm enough, came to me and said that he needed to talk to me. And so we started talking. And he said that I'm fine, I'm perfectly fine, but he feels like in here I'm not okay,
Yeah.
and that he would suggest that I go to therapy. And so through that, I started going to therapy, and then I started seeing that the cause of my issues were right there from the parents. So I needed to yank them out. So, you know,
You found the root of the
you
problem
know,
there, James.
exactly. So the revelation started to arise. And so at that point I needed to do some drastic cutoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad. I mean, I hate the fact that you had to go through that to find it, but I'm glad that you found it. Tell me, James, and I'm gonna put you in a tough spot. If there's one thing that you do or wanna do with your son that your parents didn't do to you because you know it's good, what would it be?
I would support him no matter what he does.
Mhm.
I could care less if he chose to become a carpenter or a plumber. That's his choice. And I
Yeah,
love him for that.
yeah,
Just because somebody doesn't become a doctor or a nurse or, doesn't mean that they're not important or in good
right.
standings, or doesn't mean that you shouldn't love them unconditionally.
Yeah.
And I felt like, especially with my mother, it was more or less do what I want or I won't love you.
Mhm.
And when I didn't do what she wanted, it showed up,
Yeah. Like
you know.
I want you to live your life the way that I see fit, as opposed to living your own life into what you want to do.
Exactly.
The other day, my older one, Brianna, tells me, "Hey, Dad, what if I want to be a wrestler?" They're like I've shared with you, they're all into wrestling,
Yeah.
and I said, "Well, you better give me tickets." And she's like, "Okay, so what if I don't want to go to college?" She's gone to campus with me. Her and Joy both have gone to the campus where I teach at, and I tell them, you you don't have to go to college, Brianna. Joy, you don't have to do that. It's about finding something that you enjoy doing. And Joy said, well, what if I want to be a makeup artist, right? Then be the best makeup artist you can be.
and and
And
and and I would like to add this, that my response to my mother was, how dare you not support me so that I could be the best person that I could have been,
right,
but yet have the audacity to judge me on where I'm at,
Mhm.
and say, oh well, yeah, well, you're not up to my standard. Well, you didn't do the work,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's very very true. And I think that obviously success is very, very subjective. You know, to some people, success is they see it as academic accomplishments. To others, is career paths. To others, is the amount of money you have or your worth. You know, and hey, it's everyone's own prerogative. But if I am going to be part of your life, then I need to be supportive. I don't have to agree with the choices you're making, but I have to support you. And to me, that's unconditional love. It's
Because at the end of the day, being a parent is a choice that one makes willingly with their eyes wide open.
right.
And now that I'm a parent, like I clearly understand that now. Because and sometimes you have parents out there that feel like their kids owe them something. It's like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
I don't owe
yeah,
you nothing.
yeah, yes,
I
yes,
owe you nothing. You chose to bring me here, not the other way around.
right.
Otherwise, let's go to court and let's go talk to a judge or something,
Mhm.
because I don't know how this dynamic is, coming about. Like, you
Yeah,
need to do for me, and
yeah.
it's like, no.
We're not. That's something that historically I see that, but no, that's something that it's not practiced. Let me ask you, James. What has been your biggest accomplishment into getting to that inner peace that you have now as an adult? What was it, therapy, or was there other things that you feel like, you know what, this is the
I, I
thing that really.
I wouldn't say it was just therapy. It was
Mm,
also because anybody can go to therapy, but at the end of the day, what are you doing? What type of work are you doing? It's
mhm,
just like you pick up a book and read. Okay, well, after you read that book, what type of work are you going to do, to achieve what kind of goal? So it was like once I knew what I had to do, it was more or less I needed to put into action, no matter how much it was going to hurt.
mhm.
Because at the end of the day, I had to also ask myself, what type of value are these people giving me? Yo, because if they're offering me nothing but heartache and and anxiety, you offer no value. So I gotta chuck you to the side. It's like I love you, but from over there, you know,
I
you
love
stay
that.
on your side, and I'll stay on mine because I can't allow you to come over and just keep hurting me, you
Right.
know. And so a lot of people, it's pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
That's I felt like pulling the trigger gave me inner peace
Mhm,
because I got to that point where I, I wasn't going to people please. I wasn't just going to do something just because it made somebody happy. The one motto that I gave myself: if you don't pay my bills, you're not telling me what to do.
mhm.
I make my decisions, not anybody else. If I don't see you on my W-2, don't call me and tell me what I have to do. You got to
I
stay in your lane and I'll stay in mine,
love that.
And so it was like I just had to make hard decisions because it's just easy for people to just call you and just start manipulating.
Mhm.
Oh, but this person is your mother. Oh, but it's your father. Well, it's easy for somebody to bring a child into the world, but it's another thing to do the work.
Yeah. And that's what one of the things, James, that I've always admired of you is you do the work. And I love the fact that you continue to do that hard work to find your inner peace. Um, I don't know how many years do we know each other? About what? Maybe over 10 years, right? Um,
About 11, 11,
about
12
yeah,
years.
about 11 years. And I remember um, just seeing, I mean, you saw me at a time in my life where I was going through a lot of challenges. I was going through a lot of um I was sabotaging a lot of things in my life, very important people in my life that unfortunately, because of that pain, I've learned, but I've also lost a lot of great things, a lot of great relationships that I lost in that. Um, I was willing to put in the hard work through conversations with you that helped me reflect into saying like, dang, you know, James makes a lot of sense. And you're right. You can read 100 books, but if you're not putting in the work, you're not going to get anywhere. And like I said to you, I really admire that of you, James. Keep grinding, keep making that, keep finding your inner peace. To our
and
audience out,
and it's like sometimes there are days out there where, whew, I
you don't
wake
want to do
up
it.
and my emotions are like angry. It's just like you just have ruminations and just thoughts
Mhm.
and thoughts and thoughts and
Yeah.
thoughts, you know. But at that point, I just start to journal. I have to just journal it, you
Mhm.
know. And I have grown to accept that I've lost a childhood, and I'm gonna feel that pain for the rest of my life, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm never going to get that back,
Can't change that, right?
right? So it's more or less like once I feel that emotion or that pain or whatever, especially on days like those commemoration days, and you just see people posting about how much their parent has been there for them, like Mother's Day, and you know, I get angry, you
Mhm.
know, and so like days like that, I have to like just sit there and just write and just let myself know that it's okay,
Yeah,
it's all right,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
you
love
know.
that, James. I sincerely love everything that you're doing. I love the fact that you're continuing to do the hard work to find that. To our audience out there, James, if there's one thing that you want them to take away from this conversation, what would be the one thing, the one advice that you would give them?
I would just tell them to just face it head on, you know, just face their pain head on.
Mhm.
You have to. You can't run away from it. Even if you bury it deep down and say, "Oh, well, you know, you're not going to feel it. It's still there. It's going to hit you at some point," you know. And a lot of people run. They run from their pain. They run from their emotions. And and my motto now is just you have to face it. That's the only way you're gonna gain inner peace.
Well,
That's
James,
the advice that I would have.
yeah, and sincerely, James, thank you so much for this conversation. What you're doing is you're breaking intergenerational trauma. You're breaking that as a father, you're breaking that as a husband, as a friend, as a brother that I consider you to be, as a human being for society. You're doing that, and I sincerely appreciate you for having that courage to do the hard work and to continue being that catalyst for change. James, thank you so much for this conversation. I hope that this is very helpful for our audience out there. Um, for everyone out there, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.
Capture the passion.